Hello, everyone. Good morning,
Welcome, everybody.
everybody. Good morning, everyone. And for
There's
some people
Dana.
still in this part of the world, good afternoon.
Yeah.
We are calling from the past. We
Yeah, it's
are
evening here in Chile. I'm on the other side of the Pacific from most of you. So
exactly. I'm also in the other side. I'm in Colombia. It's only 4 p.m. here and still bright and sunny. So welcome everybody. As you log in, it will be wonderful if you can type in the chat which city are you logging in from? Good morning, Joshana. It's 9 a.m. for you, yeah.
bright and early. Thank you all for joining us. Yes. Dun.
Ding.
Okay, we have a few more people joining. So before we jump into it too much, we're just going to make sure that as many people as possible are able to join.
Absolutely. And while everybody is logging in, maybe we can introduce ourselves, Mallory.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Mallory. I'm on the University Partnerships team at the Intern Group. I'm originally from Minnesota in the United States, but I have been calling Chile home for the past 12 years now. So I originally came on exchange, and I'm very passionate about intercultural exchange and just how your world opens up when you get outside your comfort zone. So that's
Amazing. And hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Joanna Molina, one of the co-founders of the Intern Group and head of Impact. I have had the pleasure to visit your beautiful country a few years ago, and it was an incredible experience. I can't say anything else other than it was absolutely amazing. And today's session is meant for us to speak about how you can make the most of the Prime Minister's scholarship. So we also have Marina Wilsmer. Can you please tell your name, Marina, because I don't want to say your last name wrongly, from Education New Zealand, to take some questions from you all. Marina, can you introduce yourself, please?
Oh, yes, sure, sorry. Kia ora koutou, ko Marina Vilmashtat tōku ingoa, no tia mana hau engari e noho anau ki o tautahi nāne e mahi anau mō manapau ki te ao Education New Zealand. Hei kai tohu tohu mātua. So good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Marina. I'm originally from Germany. That's where my last name's from. But I've been calling New Zealand home for the past 6 years. I live down here in Ōtautahi, Christchurch. We had a very frosty start to the day. But yeah, very happy to have been invited to this session to talk a little bit more about the Prime Minister scholarships to Asia and Latin America. I'm also joined by my wonderful colleague Finley, who's also on the call. So I'll pass the raka over to you, Finley.
Kia ora, Marina. Yes, tēnā koutou, ko Finley tōku ingoa, ko kaitahu te iwi no whakatua hau, e noho ana au ki Pōneke, e mahi ana au hei Global Citizens Kairuruku ki Manapō ki te ao. Nō reira, tēnā tātou katoa. So I'm Finley, the Global Citizens Coordinator here at Manapō ki te ao, Education New Zealand. Live in Pōneke, Wellington, from Nelson with roots in the south, and I was actually born in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. Stoked to be here, happy to be sharing some information about this scholarship. And like Joanna said, we'll be answering any partai, any questions you might have after giving our little spiel at one point in the presentation. So I'll pass it back to you two. Thank you. Kia ora.
all right. Excellent. Thank you so much. Joe, would you like to take it away?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mallory. So welcome everybody again. This is the agenda what we're going to be covering today. So first, we'll tell you a little bit about who we are, so about the Intern Group, what are Prime Minister scholarships to Asia and Latin America, I'll give you an overview on our programs, how it works, the placement process, and we have a special guest today, our alumni from New Zealand, and then we'll open up for questions. Actually, let's just have really quickly, Dana, can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure thing. Kia ora koutou. I'm Dana. I am one of the Pimsleur scholars and a TIG alumni. I went to Colombia last year for a wonderful experience, which I'll talk to a little bit more later today. But yeah, looking forward to this information session. It's a really, really great opportunity. So, kia ora.
Wonderful. Lovely to see you again, Dana, after all these months. So the Intern Group, who are we? We are an organization whose purpose is to help people realize their potential by doing international internships. As mentioned, I'm one of the co-founders, and one of the reasons why we created the Intern Group is I personally couldn't have these sort of opportunities in the past. As a Colombian, I wanted to expand my career in another country. In this case, it was London, and I didn't find any opportunity. So we want to open up opportunities for everybody to actually realize, well, when you put yourself out of your comfort zone, when you discover other cultures, a lot can change inside you and also in your career and in the people that surrounds you. We'll hear more about that as well later on from Dana. So the Intern Group, these are all the faces that you can see here. And in the next slide as well, from the Intern Group, we only have today Mallory and myself, but we are around 70 people that work tirelessly to get people the best experiences, from finding the right opportunity on the placements and company partnerships to the experience team that is on the ground supporting you while you are there on the ground in the different countries. So just wanted to also give a shout out to the global team. We have people from more than 20 nationalities all here, and that's who we are. Let's go to the next slide, please. Yes, so a bit more about our history. So we were founded 13 years ago. Our first program actually was in Medellin, Colombia, although we are an UK company. We have around 2,000 applicants every single year to do internships from more than 150 countries, and we partner with more than 100 universities around the world. We work with different organizations, from governments, startups, big companies, etc., around the world, around more than 3,000 around the world. And yes, we are very pleased to be here because I have also personally received quite a few people from New Zealand that have been using the Prime Minister's Scholarship, either as a group from universities or individual applicants. Let's go to the next slide. So what is the Prime Minister's Scholarship? I think most of you already know, but I would actually like to invite maybe Marina here, and you can tell us more about what is the Prime Minister Scholarship, who can apply. Would you like Marina or Finley, who would like to take it away?
Yeah, thanks, Joanna. I'll make a quick start and then I'll pass it over to Finley again. So just because I'm not quite sure, I see a few familiar faces there. Hello, Eliza. But for those who don't know what Education New Zealand Mana Poke Te Ao is, I'll just do a quick intro of what we actually are about. So Education New Zealand Mana Poke Te Ao is a government agency and a Crown entity, and we are the body who's responsible for international education in New Zealand. So what that means usually is we bring international students in from other countries to study here in beautiful Aotearoa and to give them a great experience. But on the other hand, this is what the Prime Minister scholarships are. We try to give that experience to our own Kiwi students as well. So Prime Minister scholarships are all about outbound mobility and sending Kiwi students abroad to undertake an experience. So it's sort of to have that kind of reciprocity there as well. And so we have specific goals around the Prime Minister scholarships. They were laid out in 2013 by Cabinet. So we have a Cabinet paper that sort of dictates what we do and what the Prime Minister scholarships are about. But we also try to put a very human lens on it. That's why we are the Global Citizenship Team, because we think there's more to it than just economic outcomes and economic benefits. We still have to operate under these measures, obviously, because we are a government agency, but we're just trying to, put a human lens on it. And I won't talk any further. I'll pass it back to Finlay, who's going to tell you all about the Prime Minister.
Kia ora, Marina. Beautifully articulated there. If we could just go to the next slide, please, that'd be wonderful. Great. So to further elaborate on what Marina has just said, of course, you're probably wondering, or you might know already, what do the scholarships cover? And they're quite comprehensive in terms of facilitating your experience financially. So the Prime Minister Scholarship will cover tuition fees or brokerage fees in this instance for offshore institutions or organizations. In the case of an exchange, if anyone on the call is looking to do that via their home institution, then that won't be the case, but that's something that you'll learn more about as you show interest in applying, I'm sure. We cover return flights from Aotearoa to your chosen destination and back, as in return. A contribution towards internship fees, as I said, of course. Living costs as well, we make dependent on the region you go to, so be it Asia or Latin America. We cover a weekly stipend towards your living costs that you will likely have to endure, and that's not necessarily fully, all your living costs, but we make a significant contribution towards that. Visa fees as well, should you need anything of those, we make a contribution to your visa fees, and we give you fully comprehensive insurance covered under the scholarship to ensure your health and well-being and safety, of course. And so that's kind of the financial aspects of what the scholarships cover, and of course, as Marina implied, with the human element being an important facet of the scholarship, we do our utmost to create an awesome relationship with you from our little pods of working here on our computers, but we have pre-departure orientations and opportunities to connect with each other to make sure you're supported throughout your experience. Next slide, please. Wonderful. So the next step, of course, being who can apply for the scholarship. And as stated here on the slide, you just have to be at least 18 years old at the time of application submission, and either a New Zealand citizen or hold a permanent resident visa. And there's a common misconception about the scholarship that it's quite sort of academic focused, because over the years, a lot of universities and education institutions, have encouraged people to apply, but there's no criteria that suggests that's the one avenue. Anyone can apply, be it academic, be it just volunteering somewhere, be it an internship, be it some work in the community, a language program. It's a very broad scope of what we accept as a program. So just keep that in mind. If you have something slightly obscure you think might be worth pursuing, the scholarship might still be for you. So that's the main sort of criteria that we ask for as the foundation to applying for the scholarship. And in this case, of course, internships are a wonderful avenue to be pursuing, especially because of the support they provide in your chosen destination and the rich experience you might have in becoming a part of that culture, or experiencing it through being involved in the very sort of systemic aspect of it all. So I'll pass the rako back to Marina for a final slide we have here from us at Manapoki Te Ao. Kia ora.
Yeah, kia ora, Finlay. So as you may be aware, our individual scholarships stay open on Monday. Very exciting. And you've got around 4 to 5 weeks to actually hand in your application. So if you are still unsure whether you want to apply or not, I encourage you to check out the website. There's a lot of helpful tips on there as well. And you can also start your application even if you don't submit it this round. You can apply the next round. So we run the scholarship twice a year. We have our group rounds usually in sort of March, April, and our individual rounds every year in sort of June, July. And yeah, you just go to our website, and on the 17th of June, that blue button there in the corner, how to apply, will be apply now, and then you will be transported to our scholarship portal. It's called Community Force. So it's an online portal where you just hand in your application, where you have to do a bit of writing, you answer a few questions, you tick a few boxes, and that's the application done. So the only thing that we do encourage you to do is do not leave it to last minute, because the more detailed your application is, obviously, the stronger your application gets. So if you take a lot of time and effort, then it will be a good application. So don't submit midnight, 16th of June. That's all we're saying. But yeah, thank you so much for having us and for listening, and we'll be available for any questions at the end as well. Back to you, Mallory and Joanna.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much, Marina and Finley. That's so helpful to have that as to frame up this talk as we move forward and talk about some of the programs that we offer that could be covered by the scholarship, and just how inspiring to see that the government is valuing these opportunities for all of its citizens. We often get questions of, do I have to be a student? Do I have to be currently studying? And I think that we align on that really well, is that these opportunities can have a great impact for people from all different backgrounds, academic or otherwise. So let's jump into it and talk a bit about our programs. The core benefits of our programs: we offer career development, and that starts from the time that you enroll with us through to the alumni experience. We offer resume writing, CV building workshops as you are preparing to interview with different companies, mock interviews, because we know that interviewing can be quite maybe intimidating for some people, especially if this may be your first professional experience. Yeah, we can get into some of that a bit later as well. Support and guidance, it's really important. Maybe this is your first time abroad, maybe you've been abroad before, but we help you out with the visa process before you even get abroad. Accommodations are covered in our program fees as well, so you don't have to be thinking about what's the best neighborhood, what's is it too close to or too far away from where I'll be working. Our experience team has that all figured out, so that you can get into your destination country and start having a great experience right off the bat. Of course, it's a once in a lifetime experience. I think a lot of us here presenting have had that experience and know how life-changing it can be, especially that first time abroad. And then alumni services, even once you're back home in New Zealand, we don't let you go quite so easily. As you can see, Dana's on the call with us here today. We have an extensive network of over 15,000 alumni, and it's great for both, just like personal networking, career development. Those resources continue even after you're back home. All right. Some of the inclusions of our program I mentioned on the last slide as well. These are internships with vetted host organizations. So at no point will your internship be about serving coffee or, some of those more menial tasks that sometimes interns are asked to do. These are meaningful projects, meaningful upskilling. We've really gone through the host organizations and made sure that any business company that is receiving interns really has meaningful projects and the ability to teach and coach interns. Our programs include various social and cultural events. So depending on your destination, these vary greatly, of course, but there will be excursions with the other interns who are on program, alumni success coaching. As I mentioned, after your program ends, you'll have a one-on-one coaching session with a career coach who will help you think about, okay, you've just had this hopefully amazing experience abroad. What did you learn at the internship, and how can you be marketing that to future employers? How can you bring it back home, and how can it make a difference in your future career as well as in the organization where you may be working? We provide access to Talkspace. It's licensed online therapist. That's for up to 3 months. So we talk a lot about getting out of our comfort zone as a growth experience, but sometimes when you're going through that, it can get to be a lot, and we want to have that support there for you. Organized accommodation, as I said, these are no homestays on the program. It's all student accommodations. Usually individual rooms in a shared living space. Dana, you can probably speak more to that a little bit later. We'd love to hear what your experience was like. And then a welcome pack in all of our cities, and that may include a SIM card, a transport card, everything you need to get up and running in your first few days in a new city. We offer airport pickup. Again, you don't have to worry about how you're getting from the airport to your accommodations. That's taken care of. And then the visa assistance and a 24/7 in-country support. And that's not just a hotline where a stranger will be picking up. That is our experienced team, people that you have already met on the other end of the line if you need support. Middle of the night, go ahead and call them. They are there to support you. All right. Details of the program. People always say, how long does the internship last? When can I start? And that's really up to you. Our internships run anywhere from 4 to 24 weeks. And we have start dates once or twice per month, every month throughout the year. So you can very much tailor it to your needs. Depending on, like how, Marina or Finley, could you remind me, is there a minimum stay actually for students or for people going abroad?
Yes, correct. So the minimum currently for Latin America is 4 weeks, and for Asia it's 6 weeks.
Okay, so that also aligns quite well with us. Our minimum program length in Colombia in Latin America is 6 weeks as well. So we would be looking at 6 weeks on up if you're looking at using the scholarship towards this internship opportunity. We also do offer academic credit through our School of Record, Florida A&M University. And that's something that I would, on the university partnerships team, we would be working with your home institution to make sure that if you need academic credit or want academic credit for your internship, we would be making sure that you're meeting all of those needs. Some universities do that in-house without using our School of Record, and others require a transcript that you would then transfer back. So we can look at that on a case-by-case basis. We work in over 20 different career fields. And if you don't see your exact major or your exact study program listed here, it's quite likely that it would be a subsector of one of these career fields. So if you have any questions about that, please do feel free to ask away at the end, or schedule a call with an admissions consultant, and they can provide more feedback as to what roles might be available to you in your destination of choice. All right, and finally, where can we go? That's what we've all been wanting to know, right? We have 9 in-person destinations around the globe. And of those destinations, the destinations that would fit within the scope of the Prime Minister's Scholarship are Bangkok, Tokyo, Hong Kong, and Medellin in Colombia. So with that, let's jump into it. Joa, would you like to tell us a bit about Hong Kong?
Yes, absolutely. So what you can see here are some of the popular career fields. That said, we can find you internships in all the other career fields you just saw in a previous slide. So the most popular career fields for Hong Kong are business, IT and computer science, journalism, publishing and media, communication and linguistics, NGOs, PR and marketing. It's quite close to you, and so it allows you to get there easier than coming all the way here to Colombia. And one of the things that always kind of like shocked me when I went there is how you find the perfect combination between the traditional temples right next to very modern skyscrapers. So you get that mixture of the tradition and the modern world. The excursions that we do there are downtown colonial working tour, dinner at the peak, and the excursion to the island in Lama. Let's go to the next one. You want to take Tokyo?
Sure, I'll take Tokyo. This is actually one of the few destinations that I haven't been to, so it's top on my list, and I love looking at their pictures whenever they share the experience pictures from interns who are on program. I didn't actually know this, but it's considered one of the 3 command centers alongside London and New York. It's one of the most populous metropolitan areas in the world. Popular career fields here, they're business, IT, computer science, entrepreneurship, and many other industries. Just as Joel was saying, we can find you opportunities in your field of choice. So if you don't see yours listed here, that doesn't mean you shouldn't apply to this destination. Popular excursions are the day trip to Mount Fuji, the Tokyo tour, and the cooking class. And then along with these excursions, I just want to point out that our experienced team members are always doing some more informal meetups. You're not obliged to go, you're encouraged to, because I think one of the wonderful things about these programs is not only that you're getting in contact with your, in the case of Tokyo, with your Japanese coworkers, but you're also creating a network with the interns who are coming from all around the world to be on program there. So as much as you can, I would encourage you to get to know the other interns who are also on program, because that really opens doors around the world. I'll speak to Bangkok as well, because then I'm going to turn it back over to Joe and Dana. Bangkok is also just a wonderful destination. I recently had a call with our experience coordinator there, and she said that her favorite part of her job is taking interns out for their first Thai meal, and explaining what are some of the dishes that you may be sharing with your colleagues as you go out for, team lunches, and sort of how do Thai people share food. She went on about some of the special dishes, and I was getting on a plane to to go join her. It sounded like an amazing experience. In Thailand, they change up the excursions. The floating market is one of the most popular excursions, but depending on the season that you go, you don't want to be caught in the rainy season at the floating market. So they change it up depending on the time of year. Thai cooking cultural event, of course, is a very popular one. Historical Bangkok food tour, like I said, food sounds amazing. And then a summer palace day tour. So.
Amazing. And the moment I was waiting for, Medellin, my beautiful home city where I'm logging in from, is the second largest city in Colombia. It's known as the city of eternal spring. Also, where our interns are located is known as, it's voted as Colombia's coolest neighborhood, which is called Laureles. But also it's kind of like pretty amazing that we are even speaking about Medellin when I was a child. It was known as the world's murder city, and now people are actually visiting and seeing the change that it has happened over the last couple of decades. The popular career fields are NGOs, business, entrepreneurship, government and politics is super strong, communication and linguistics, finance, as well as many other industries. What we do here are, we go into the walking tour to know about the history. How is it that we went from being the world's most dangerous cities to one of the most innovative? We go to El Peñol and a Guatapé trip, and also to Comuna 13. But more than actually speaking for myself, that's why we have Dana here. Dana, you did the program here last year in Medellin. Can you tell us a bit about your experience? How is it that you decided Colombia first of all, instead of any other place? How did you apply to the Prime Minister's scholarship? Take it away.
Yeah, so I guess to answer your why I chose Colombia sort of question, I think it's always been, oh, well, I met a lot of Colombians here in New Zealand, first of all, which was always great, and they've always been so kind. And the culture just really interested me, especially, like you said, back in the 80s and 90s, it was kind of known as this city to kind of, or this country rather, to keep an eye out. And I just wanted to, I don't know, based on conversations that I had with people that I met here, who were kind of like, we don't love the stigma that we have against our country, like it's actually really beautiful and wonderful. I also just wanted to see that for myself, and just experience it and change it, like not change my mind, because I think I held what they said to be true, but I wanted to experience it so I could come back and also be like, hey, like I went here, it's a wonderful country, it's a wonderful city. Medellin was just so great. Like there's so many things to do, so many wonderful, hospitable people. I found that they're very, I guess, similar to Kiwis in the fact that if they see that you're a tourist, or maybe not from here, they'll just open up conversation, make sure you're okay. You know, it helps. I've got the language from my background. My family's from Argentina, but even with the accent, they notice that I'm not Colombian. I'm Argentinian, but not really Argentinian. So that was always wonderful to kind of, yeah, experience that hospitality and yeah, the culture, the food, the sights as well. And I think in Pimsleur, for the Prime Minister's Scholarship for Latin America, there was 3 Latin American destinations, so Colombia, Brazil, Mexico, and Chile, so and I think could have been tempted to go to Brazil, but I didn't have the Portuguese, but maybe next time around. And yeah, I think in my experience, Colombians have a really nice Spanish, like such a wonderful accent, to just keep learning from as well. And yeah, build the knowledge that I already have and maybe better pronunciation.
Amazing, thank you. We can have also people that are here asking questions or raising your hand or post it. Feel free to post it on the chat. But I would love to learn like about your experience. How did you think the experience helped you, especially aligned with the Prime Minister's Scholarship, which is how did that help your local community? Tell us about that now that you've been more than 6 months back, right?
Yeah, it's coming to almost a year since I
Oh,
left,
no,
like
okay.
in a couple of weeks. It's really sad. Yeah, so I think the reason I first of all, the reason I chose to intern at TIG itself, so I was actually placed in the intern group, was because the purpose that the company has, or that the organization has, really aligned with, I guess, the same purpose for the scholarship of connecting places and people and young professionals together to, you know, have these international experiences, and see what their potential is, international potential, career potential, educational potential, whatever. And so I thought it would be a really good opportunity to kind of understand the work that TIG does and kind of bring it back here, and connect the dots for people that are interested in doing this, either through the scholarship or through other pathways. And in terms of what the actual experience I had over there, kind of the impact it had on me, the main thing I think it taught me was how resilient I am. This was the first international solo trip for an extended period of time that I'd done. And I remember like the week before I was a little bit nervous, but like not too crazy nervous, surprisingly, because I'm a bit of an overthinker. So when it got to it, I just kind of, you know, flew over there. It was like a 30-something hour trip because New Zealand's in the middle of nowhere sometimes. But I got there and then I was just excited. Like I was excited. There was such good support on the ground, which made me feel like I could just kind of get on with it and not have to worry about everything. And then being able to explore and go to different parts of Colombia as well, doing trips with other interns. Again, just kind of showed me that I am capable of just doing stuff and like trusting my gut. And then in terms of the internship itself, similar learnings in terms of I was in a team that was just really supportive and was open to hearing my opinions and thoughts, and kind of if I didn't necessarily understand something or looked at something in a different way, they were always welcoming and asking me on my opinion, which I think kind of grew myself professionally to kind of take it back into my current role and be like, I just need to trust my gut a bit more, and like there's no bad opinion, I guess, like if you just having a conversation and testing thoughts with people in a obviously respectful way. And then in terms of, I guess, community and how what helped me with my community, it mainly, I think my experience, especially while I was there, connected me a little bit closer to my parents. Like they moved from Argentina, like we came here to New Zealand when I was 6 years old. And so I'm half Kiwi, half Argentinian, but mainly especially growing up, there's a little bit of tension, like, why are my parents like X, Y, and Z, or like they're quite, expressive and loud and blah, blah, blah. And then when I got to Colombia, there was a bit of overlaps in culture. So I remember calling my dad and being like, I think I understand like why, you guys are always playing music in the house, or like just very, just expressive and things like that. And like, yeah, it just helped me understand a little bit more about my family, which I thought was really nice to just have, if anything, a laugh about things that I may have not, thought so otherwise. And I think also just being able to experience it firsthand in Colombia, the culture, become a really like big advocate for people to go visit the place. It's just so wonderful. Like I would go back there in a heartbeat if I could, if the opportunity arises, I would.
That's so wonderful. Yeah, Jana, thank you so much for sharing your experience. It's so good to hear. And also just personally, as a mom of a bicultural family, it's so neat to hear your perspective and how like that sort of helped you like understand your cultural context more. So thank you for sharing that. We have some great pictures that you shared here of some of your excursions. Did you have a favorite one? Was there anything that you would say if you have one day in Medellin, you definitely have to do?
Yes, I do. Actually, I was looking through my photos last night and just being nostalgic, but we were lucky enough to meet someone that lived across, like, around the corner from our accommodation, and she taught us about up in the hills / mountains. I say the hills, but I think there might be mountains. In Medellin, there is hummingbird farm, not farm, but hummingbird sanctuary, and you get to feed the hummingbirds. And I think like the whole time my eyes were just like watering because it was just so magical. Like they just on your hand. I've got videos of them just on your hand, and they're just vibrating and like feeding on this little sugar water that they give you. And it's just crazy. It's maybe like a 20-minute drive, and like there's usually people that can take you, and yeah, it was magical. I learned that I really love birds, which makes me sound like I'm already getting into that quarter life crisis. I don't even know, but the birds in Colombia, even in Medellin, like in the middle of the city, like there's so much variety. And it was so cool just like looking up, seeing a couple of colorful parrots up there, and then like even coming back to New Zealand, seeing our native birds. I've just found a new passion for birds, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh, neat. Oh my goodness. I absolutely want to go. I haven't been to Medellin yet either, so it's on my list. Joa.
Absolutely.
there
And
any day.
one of my colleagues will die for that because she's obsessed with hummingbirds, Nicole. These are other photos. As you can see on the left one, Medellin is on a valley. So you'll get to see the whole city from one of the miradores or viewpoints. I call it the stars on the ground because it does look like is the sky, but down there. And it's known as the City of the Flowers. And so the Flower Festival happens here. Thank you for sharing that. And we're going to have more questions for you as well. And move on with the process. So we are about to finish up with the slides and then open up for Q&A. The last program, Mallory, is Digital Nomad.
Right. So we offer in-person internships in all of the destinations. We also offer digital nomad in all of our destinations. So in Medellin, in Hong Kong, Tokyo, and Bangkok, that would also be an option. And Dan, I think that's the one that you actually did, right? So our in-person internships place you with a company where you would go to the office every day, and that would be sort of a full-time commitment. Our digital nomad program allows you to do like sort of a combination of a virtual program, which gives you more flexibility. You can choose 10, 20, 30, or 40 hours per week in that program, but it also gives you all of the inclusions of our in-person programs. So the accommodation, all of that. So when your colleagues or the other interns on program go off to the office for a day, you get to choose where do you want to work from. And that could be from the accommodations, from a co-work space. Maybe you take it on the road and go visit a different part of the country for a week or so and work from there. It just offers a bit more flexibility. And again, in this format, your host organization, your company could be based in the same country as you, or they could be based anywhere in the world. So it's really an opportunity to create both local and very global connections. And then how does it work? If you are interested in applying with us, we welcome your application. It's our initial application to the Intern Groups program is quite short and sweet. And then you schedule a call with our admissions team via Zoom. Those calls are 20 to 30 minutes, and they help they get a feel for you as a candidate. What career field are you looking for? What strengths do you bring to the program? And then if you are accepted, then we invite you to enroll. An enrollment in our normal format usually occurs quite quickly, but here, since we know that a lot of the people on this call will be applying for a scholarship, the next step would be, you've been accepted into the Intern Groups program, then go apply for those scholarship funds. And we will not ask you to complete your enrollment until, of course, you've heard back about the scholarship. So yeah, Marina and Finley spoke to that a bit earlier. If you have more questions about that process, certainly welcome to ask them at the end. And then once you have confirmed your place on the program, that's when we start getting into the placement process. So oftentimes we get questions from participants, why don't I know right away about which host organization will I be paired with? And that's part of our program is that matching process. So as Joa said at the beginning, we work with over 3,000 companies and organizations worldwide, and our commitment to them is that we are sending them top quality candidates. And so before we make that match, we want to help you make sure that you have the best of the best CV, resume, professional profile, and interview skills. So the program starts there. And then we do the matching process. You will be matched with maybe one company is right off the bat, you get a good fit. If the first company isn't the best fit, we continue in the matching process. And we encourage you, one thing we like to tell all candidates is if you're matched with a company, take the interview. And the reason we say that is twofold. One, the more you interview, the better you get at interviewing. So maybe that first company isn't your perfect fit, isn't your dream internship. But you take the interview with them, you practice your interview skills. At the end, you say, thanks so much. And then you'll have that much more practice for your next interview. Secondly, and this is, I think, quite important, is you go into that conversation and maybe the role description that you first received doesn't seem like a good fit for you, but if in that conversation you like the overall organization, you click with the person who's doing the hiring, maybe you could have some conversation and adjust the role to be more suited to your interests. So it just opens more opportunities. Yeah, so that's the placement process. Then you confirm your role. We help with a visa as well. That's sort of a parallel process depending on your destination. And off you go. Joel, would you like to speak about LMS?
Yes, absolutely. So one thing that we also have is from the minute that you join us, you are part of our learning experience. So you will have access to our online modules and also to our workshops that are live sessions where we do things like nail your interview preparation, LinkedIn workshops, etc. In fact, it's open a lot of this content to the world, so we can be sharing with you guys here the link so you can take a look at that. And that's part of our program. That's basically everything, because then the last part is, if you'd like to see more about our program, you can follow us on social media. Here are all the different accounts, TikTok or Instagram or YouTube at the Intern Group. And let's move on to the questions, because we have quite a few, some open, some direct. And so let's start with the first one. What's the best time to do an internship during your university years? I can start, and maybe Mallory, but actually I would like to hear from anyone here. I know we have universities as well, but what we have seen is there's no a best time. Like, whenever you decide, even it can be from the first year, because it can help you test the waters, understand what is it that you want to pursue. One thing that is important is that you will always be matched with a role that is aligned with both your experience and also your desires. And so we do get some applicants that are PhDs or have a lot of experience. We don't have a limit, let's say, on the age or proficiency. And so it will always be aligned with that and your desires. Would you like to add anything, Mallory?
Just that I think, at any time, an internship is valuable in the sense that for so many reasons, but also in the sense that it can give you a view into a career field that you might really love. And it can also show you that a career field that you thought you were very interested in isn't actually the best fit for you. And the sooner you find that out, maybe the better. I had an internship like that in my university years, where I thought, like, I'm passionate about this cause, but it turns out that working directly in it was it was too strong for me. I was it wasn't my best fit. So it was very valuable to find that out after a 12-week internship than it would have been to jump into that as a, maybe a full-time job as a recent graduate. So yeah, and anytime.
100%, Mallory. That's what happened to me as well. I was in finance, and after 3 years in finance, I realized it wasn't for me. And so that's not failure. That is actually quite good if you realize
You
that
should have done the
earlier.
6-week internship, Joa.
Instead of 3 years, of course.
Yeah.
We have 2 more.
Also, you were speaking to the level of skill required, and I've been doing a dive into the engineering roles that we offer, and I've been seeing quite a level there. I've been seeing, like, some engineering roles that would be for more advanced students or even recent graduates, and others where it's maybe you're an engineering student wanting to get a feel for the field, but you don't have quite all of those skills. Some of those early career, like, you may be looking at project management without the technical skills yet. We offer that at all levels as well.
Amazing, thank you. We have 2 more questions. These ones are for Dana. And so From Elisa, we have a question for you. What's your advice for others considering applying to do an internship with TIC?
I think the first thing would be just do it with a bit of time, like schedule in that call with the admission advisor or consultant as early as you're interested in going forward, just so you can have that conversation of fleshing out what sort of sectors you want to work in, or what fields you want to work in. I think flag that you're probably going to be applying for the scholarship as well, and sometimes the timing of things may or may not align, but just keeping that conversation and honesty open, because they've gone through this before. They will likely have heard of the scholarship and have had people like myself who I think I contacted them like at least a few months before I was actually going over there. And so it was just keeping that dialogue open and not being hesitant to just be honest and even email them where you get their email and stuff. But yeah, and it just like Joha and Mallory were saying, have a think about what field you want to do, whether it's to do with your degree and skill set, just to give it that taster.
Excellent, Dana. There's another one I received direct. What industries or areas did Dana apply to intern in, and what kind of work did she end up doing?
So I think originally I was applying for the NGO, not-for-profit sector, because it kind of aligns with what I'm doing now. But then as I was looking through the Intern Group's website, I saw that they offer, or they take interns into, it was a slightly different route. I was very much like, I want to work here, let me work here. Just because I was really interested in the reason, the purpose behind the Intern Group and how it aligned with my own interests and the scholarships kind of purpose as well. So I ended up working in the people team, so in human resources, and that was kind of nice to give it a go. See the psychology behind human resources as well. There's a lot of things, especially when you're trying to do the kind of people development side of things, that kind of sparked a little interest in that in me, whether I kind of go towards more maybe people management or try out some more HR stuff too.
Amazing. Thank you, Dana. We have some questions for our Education New Zealand representatives from Marina Finley. Can students apply or receive the Prime Minister's scholarship more than once?
Yeah, sorry, I just had troubles unmuting. I'm happy to take that one. So you are eligible for one scholarship each. So if you have already received an individual one, you can do a group one and vice versa, but you can't have two of the same.
Perfect. Thank you, Marina. We also have, within what time frame do you need to take your trip? For example, within 9 months of being accepted?
So for us, it's 20 months, and that means to start your trip and not to have finished your trip. So it's actually quite a long lead-in time.
And how many rounds of individual applications do you have per year?
We have one round each per year. So we have this individual round this year, and then we have the same individual round at round about the same time next year, always in June, July.
Excellent. So time is now. Any other questions? Anyone wants to kind of raise your hand, ask a question live?
Yeah, feel free to turn on your mic.
What are the group's sessions? Great question. So we have scheduled different sessions where everybody's invited, so it's also an opportunity for people to connect with others. These are online, just as we are right here, so you can interact with other people. You'll be sent, depending on the structure of the session, in smaller groups in like to discuss certain topics, but we have topics that are relevant for everybody. For example, how to leverage your international internship, how to sell the story once you've done it so that you can get increased your employability. Or LinkedIn, we actually have one LinkedIn tomorrow, and so we go through it and how to have a very good professional profile and also connect with people and do networking. There's lots of different topics that are important for the interns.
I'm not sure, Jill, maybe was that question, I think that question may have actually been referring to what are the group scholarships? So if we, Marina and Finley, if you'd like to answer that, and then there's one other that you could maybe speak to as well. On top of the financial support provided by the scholarship, how much do people typically need to contribute themselves to the overall trip? I mean, that would be good to hear both, Dana, from your experience, what the cost breakdown worked out to, and Marina and Finley, if you could talk about how much personal funding people should count on having for these.
Yeah, sure. So just on the funding, it really depends on you as a person. So Finley talked you through the funding that's available and how much you get. So like the flights, for example, and the living costs, they are set amounts, they are set in stone. And then the tuition fees, obviously, they vary from program to program. But technically, it should be a zero. So technically, you shouldn't be having to pay for anything on top of that. What's not included, obviously, is fun and leisure. So if you do a lot of exciting things on the weekend and you do excursions and all of that, obviously that's not included. So it all depends on how much money you are going to spend while you're over there. My personal advice is spend as much as you can because it's a once in a lifetime experience. So rather calculate more than less into your trip as well.
Wonderful.
And then regarding the group scholarships, they're essentially a program in which a group lead can apply, and these rounds open earlier in the year, just before the individual round each year, more around sort of March, April. And a group lead will come up with a program and decide on, a range of participants, be that ideally they can operate the program with 10. If they're, fortunate, we'll grant them for 15, and they kind of decide some parameters as to what that group program could operate within. And they then apply on behalf of the proposed group, essentially. And then we'll review them on similar criteria that we do to the individual scholarships. And if they're fortunate enough to be awarded, then they'll undergo their own selection criteria to then determine the group that participates in that group scholarship. And it's similar, eligibility in terms of funding, the same flight and living costs. And the only thing is, for group scholarships, we don't cover insurance. It's up to the group to then organize that. But as far as the other funding goes, the flights, the tuition fees, the living cost, visa fees, that's all inclusive in the group scholarship too, just led by a group lead rather than an individual being responsible for their own experience. I hope that answers that one.
Finley, and
Yeah, just to elaborate on that a bit. Oh, sorry. It's just one quick comment. So the insurance is covered by us, but it's not organized by
sorry,
us.
of course.
So yeah, so just to avoid confusion, so we pay for the insurance, but we don't organize the insurance. And it's also important to note that all participants of the group, so the participants are the actual people who receive the scholarship. So everyone in that group has to do the same program that was posted. So you have to do it all together.
And who can be the group lead? Can it be one student or professor, or doesn't have to be a student? Can you tell us more about that?
In this instance, so it's not necessarily essentially, it's just someone who's kind of leading the cause, or ideally from some sort of organization, who then can identify as a legitimate um,
I think we lost.
organization to then our functioning and has a vision as to how their organization can recruit a group, as Marina said, to all do the same thing under a group scholarship.
Okay, sorry, Philly, I think you broke up a little bit as you were saying, but if I understood correctly, it ideally will be an institution.
Yeah, am I back now, hopefully?
Yes, yes, you are, yes. Not anymore. We are far away. It's a
Yeah.
miracle.
The unstable connection is.
Sort of.
All right. Oh, there's just so many questions, honestly. I would love to hear even more about Dana, your trip and your experience. But going back to that cost question, was that about your experience? Was it was the scholarship enough to cover your living costs?
Yeah, I think from memory, it covered a good chunk, like definitely the flights and I guess like internship, like the tuition costs and stuff. But in terms of living and like Marina said, it just depends on what you do. And I definitely kind of took on that advice that she gave, like spend as much money as you can while you're there because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I think yeah, I saved up as much as I could, you know, within my means. And it was fine. Like it depends, really just depends what you're doing. Some things were really cost effective, other things maybe were a bit more expensive, but you know, worth it because you're there and you want to
Oh, yeah.
experience it. So yeah.
Yeah, how often are you on the other side of the world? That's a good
Yeah,
point.
exactly. It's worth it. You'll always get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are about at time. Joa and I will certainly stay in the room longer and answer any questions you may have. So feel free. If you have questions about your specific situation, your career field, please by all means do go ahead and schedule a call with an admissions consultant. There, Joe's just put the link in the chat there. Super. Yeah. And if there are no more questions, then just thank you, Finley. I know Marina had to hop off to another call. Thank you, Finley. Thank you, Marina. Thank you, Dana, so much for joining us here today. We really appreciate hearing about our programs from from the participants' perspective. That's always so special.
It definitely is. It's lovely to see you, Dana. And everybody, thank you for joining. Enjoy your Wednesday. I'm just going into the night of my Tuesday. Enjoy your Wednesday. I hope to see you wherever it is, Hong Kong, Tokyo, Bangkok, or here in Medellin. Have a wonderful day. Everyone who subscribed is going to get the recording. And so thank you, Finley, Marina, and everybody who joined, Dana, Mallory. Have a lovely rest of your day.